Okiru.
What is up, guys? I'm joined by my friend, my good friend, and fellow entrepreneur, Mr. Richard Okella. What's going on, brother?
Oh, mate, I appreciate the intro. I like to say I'm still, a master in mind, so still working on that. But going well. How's your day been, my man?
My day has been pretty amazing. It's the weekend, went for a run and pushed myself. So it's good to start the morning with a run and with a struggle, right? Increasing our capacity. That's what we want to do, right?
Good, man.
That's it, man. So the reason why to have you on the podcast is because we always have these awesome conversations at work. And I love your mindset and just the way you think. It adds a new dynamic, a new perspective to my life. So that's why I want to have you on. And really, I guess the topic I want to talk about today is it's surrounding our latest launch based on strength and courage. Right? So what is strength and courage to you?
Strength and courage.
Mm.
Well, courage comes from having the gut to do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having just the bravery to get out of your own will.
Uh-huh.
Is it not? And so strength in my eyes is pretty much when you accomplish that courage of yours, it comes into one circumstance, like it just rounds up everything into one. But strength, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
It's such a broad idea, right?
Right.
So it's really hard to pinpoint what strength is. So I guess the way I put it is through this quote that Joel and we made through this whole thing was have the courage to be disliked and the strength to overcome who you think, and the strength to transcend who you think you are and become better. So what do you think that means to you, that quote?
Well, to be put in perspective, it's kind of how you view it, right?
Right.
Because to be disliked, it means for you to do something someone sees a wrong in. So in my eyes, that's not really you being disliked. It's just you having to embrace what it is that you've learned, the experience that you had, to the point where people are seeing you are either different in their eyes, right? When you express yourself differently, people be like, "Oh, you've changed." But have you, or have they changed?
Ooh, that's true.
Right?
So who do you know who's changed, right? How can you tell? How can you tell? Well, I like that. I like the idea. So what if you haven't changed? You're always you, but that person's changed themselves, and they don't accept that the fact that they changed, right?
Right. I guess talking about that, what is change, right?
What is change? What is change? What is change? Is change good or bad?
I like to look at it as who's interpreting the message will define that answer for themselves. Right. And for me, if I was to say, "Oh, Jasper, you've changed," I like to look at it in a good way. Why? Because maybe there's something about you before that just wasn't you, and either that meant you were trying to find yourself, and now that you found yourself, I can say, "Mate, yeah, you've changed."
Right.
To me, that's a good thing. Like you said, we've actually had like various of conversations, and at times you leave me wondering, "Oh crap, what did we just talk about? Did I even know what I was saying half of the time?"
Right.
And when I think about it, it's like sometimes you just need to be heard by others, right? So strength and courage, when it comes to it, is do you actually have the strength and the courage to go forward with what it is you're going to discuss with the person who might know more than you, or might be the same level as you, but the fact that you're both, expressing it freely, that's going to come into one. One's going to give the answer to the other, or you're going to give the answer to yourself.
Exactly.
Right? So, in like you mentioned already, with the quote that you and Gerald have put down, how would you then define strength and courage with what it is that you and Gerald are doing for the company that you've already established?
Well, obviously, the courage to be disliked. It's being able to do something that is out of the norm already, right? It's challenging the status quo of what we were brought up with, the ideas and values that people have ingrained in us. And that's what we have the courage to continue on doing when people didn't really understand what we were doing, and they said things that I believe they didn't really mean. They just didn't understand, right? And then that strength to transcend who we think we are and become better, it's we have this idea of ourselves, right? And I was just listening to an audio, and pretty much it talks about this, how increasing that thermostat of who we think we are, it's scary because once you increase that person who you believe you are, it I guess you always have to, that new standard is set and you always have to be hitting that. That's your expectation now, right? And that's scary for some people, that they have to do more than what they've already been doing consistently over time. And that's what the meaning of strength in transcending who you think you are. You have to be strong and confident in being able to do those things, right? Because if you even you look at the people we're surrounded with, right, they are the best examples of that. They believe they can be better. They have a better potential of who they are, and they're not afraid of that change. They're not afraid of doing what is necessary all the time, consistently, to become better. Obviously, it's not going to be 100% of the time we're going to be doing that, right? It's almost impossible. So it's just about being confident in who you are and doing what's necessary for your betterment. That's the way I put that quote.
I really love that topic.
I think it's a necessary topic to think about, right? But anyway, I wanted to come back to that topic of change you were speaking about, and how when you said, oh, you've changed and that's a good thing. I do agree with that somewhat, because I feel like you need to be able to explain what that change is, because it's a compliment that people can interpret differently. So if I was to just go up to someone that I knew and they have changed, I could be implanting in their mind, have I changed for the better or have I changed for the worse, right? So it's something you have to be more, I think, because I have to do this too. I'm like, oh, you changed, right? And blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's about saying, hey, I like your mindset now. I love how you changed your perspective on things. I think the way you do this is so much better. Blah, blah, blah. It's like an effort. You see the effort of what they've done, right?
Yeah. Well, that's very true on what you're saying. Just just what I took out of it is you actually leave people wondering, is it good or bad? So, well, I think you pretty much answered the question, right? How you analyze what it is that you're complimenting them on, as in you've changed. Okay, so you've changed because I'm noticing this about you. I'm noticing that about you. So that either will leave them still wondering, as in, I really have changed. Yeah, that's good for me. Or it's going to be like, oh, I've changed. Oh, no, that's really bad. I need to do something. So the best way to go about it, I know we're not talking about solutions here, but we're just talking just in general what these things are and how people go through it. But when you look at it, normally when people say you've changed and you have the ego and say, oh, yeah, I'm this man now. And I know more than this person because I've been told. But how does that really give you a better understanding of what that message was that the person was trying to tell you? You've changed, right? So you're doing better than you were before. Okay, now are you gonna set the standards like you just mentioned not long ago? Are you gonna set the standards? Okay, I'm gonna keep hitting the spot every time, or I'm gonna go above and beyond myself. Not people say I've changed or people say that I'm different. More so, I'm gonna do this for myself because I know this is what I told myself I'm gonna do. So how I would also is changes. not so much the thing, it's more so your habits that see you differently, and the habits that take you up to this point where people are going to say you've changed. Were they really something that aligned with people's words, or were they something that just aligned with your own words that you say yourself, right? So yeah, I reckon change can be a good thing, and it is a good thing because we don't want to be the same people, 5 years, 10 years.
Exactly. That's true. Yeah. It's I think change is absolutely necessary, right?
Yes.
I know you change. I know I've changed. Have you changed for the better? That's up for us to decide, right? But if you were doing what you're doing now as a person you were a couple of years ago, would you be doing what you're doing now? Would you be happy where you are, or would you feel different?
Well, to answer that question, I don't think I would be who I am right now if I was doing it years ago. So I would say yes. I'll feel better, and I'll feel for the better, right? Because having to just feel better doesn't really, like make you say, yeah, I feel good about what I'm doing. But feeling for the better is like, oh yeah, this is where I want to be. So what more can I do now that I know that I have more potentials in me? Right. Now that I have all these possibilities because I had the strength and courage to persevere, right? Through all these hurdles, through all these things that are going to come along my way. What can I do more of now? So change gives you a breakout of how everything was for you. So let's go back a long time ago.
Okay.
Right, let's go back childhood.
Let's go. Tell us your story, man.
So me playing sports, I realized that I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty tall for my height, for my age. I was pretty big for my age. So I used to always be picked and be picked to play with the big boys, right? So like let's say the reserves, under 21s and stuff. And I'm not gonna say I was like great at soccer, but I would say I was decent, right? I was good enough to play with them because I can the push, I can handle the pressure I get from my coach and the other players, which are a lot older than me. So how I took responsibility of that is I realized if I'm going to play with people who are a lot older than me with more experience, surely if I can get injured and I can injure somebody, doesn't that mean also I can change the way I play? Doesn't that mean I can also learn new skills from the people who I'm surrounded by? So I started looking at it more in the way of when I'm at school. Okay, so now there are people who are going to be doing harder classes than you, and there are people who are going to be doing low-level class than you. But which one are you going to choose? Are you going to choose to be comfortable with the people who are doing the same level work as you, or are you going to push yourself to be with people who are going to do harder work?
Right.
And where you want to be, right? And that just came to me because I loved winning in soccer, man. I hated losing in soccer. And I also hated getting low scores in my mark. What would I do? I'll surround myself with people who knew more than I did. So that at that point, I just kind of like shook it off and say, hey, look, man, I like winning. I like getting good marks. And, that kind of puts me in that position where I feel comfortable and I feel more courageous. I'm like, yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I'll surround myself with people who I know will actually put me in that category of feeling the strength and courage to continue on. But does that answer your question, sir?
Sir, don't call me sir, man. Damn, bro. But it kind of does. Well, one thing that is necessary that you pretty much said is your environment, who you surround yourself with. That is vital to change, right? Because, but the thing with change is when it happens, it's hard to accept it because you're in that uncomfortable state of something new, right? It's hard to I had a note about this. Like you have to be able to let those things go, some of your past self, and you gotta start attaching yourself to the potential you could be. And you being in that higher level of players, that is you attaching yourself to your potential. And that's what a lot of people are afraid to do because they're so comfortable in where they are. right? Like when you said you had that choice of being in the higher class, or you could stay where you're comfortable with, and you know you're gonna get the marks necessary. You're not gonna challenge yourself much because you don't have to. You know, how is that growth at all? That's just you feeding your ego, right? That's just you making you feel better about yourself and not actually doing anything to make yourself better, right?
That's right. That's right. That's actually that's actually exactly what we all go through, right?
Mm,
Um, yeah, it's like having a setback. Like you mentioned, you get comfortable, and like going training every time. I realized when I was playing with the low league, the people who were my age, I would train lazy. I'll run slow.
yeah.
Yeah, because I knew that I didn't have to train as hard. I'm not with the people who are, intense at
Mm,
all time. And I was just like, I'll just kick back, I'll relax, I'll still do enough.
mm,
But having to actually play with the big boys again, I realized that I needed to push myself again. So why would I set myself back down again, knowing that the same results I'm after is not going to come with that comfortability,
mm.
right? So it's like, why set a goal, and once you achieve it, you lower yourself back down to how you were before you set that goal.
Mm.
And many people do that. Many people do that.
Yeah, they do. They do. It comes back to that thermostat that we talk about, right? It's
Yeah.
um you have that belief of where you're supposed to be, and then you bring yourself back down because, oh, that's scary. I don't know, it's too hot. It's too hot up there. I'm not used to that heat, right?
Yeah.
So you purposefully self-sabotage to put yourself back lower, and it's crazy, man. I know I do it because it's
So
scary.
I
It's
myself.
scary, right?
Yeah. Mm.
It's a scary thing to do. Why do you think it's scary for us to really go above that threshold that we have?
Well, when you look at it, people will start telling you things. People start saying things.
Mm.
Either you start, like building up a wall because you're scared. People are going to start saying, "Oh, um, you were once so good, now you're not as great." Or, man,
Mm,
I can remember, how you weren't as great, but now you're so good. Now that's going to build fear, right?
right.
And that wall, you're the only one that's, no one else is hitting it with you, because they
Mm,
can just climb over, they can just break through it. But the fact that you built it, how are you going to break it down again? So how I started looking at it is, you're building it brick by brick, right?
mm,
Imagine if you started taking those bricks off one at a time. At some point, that brick is not going to exist no more. You won't have a
mhm.
wallet.
Yeah.
So the fear of people telling you, "Oh, you're not good enough," or you're too good, shouldn't even cross your mind, because those people are either realizing that, you know, this person is changing. I don't
Right.
like that. I want to be changing too, but maybe they're not doing the exact same thing as you, which is your habits,
Mm,
or your habits are so easy that not everybody can do it, right? It's like, let's talk about diet. Oh man, this is one topic I'll fail at. I don't even think dieting is enough, right? Because there's
mm.
things you gotta go through. You gotta drink enough water. You gotta eat enough vegetables. You gotta do enough exercise. But can you do all those things in a day and continue doing it 7 days a week, right?
Exactly.
So it's you putting that belief inside of you that, oh, I can't continue on, or I can't do this because it's too hard,
Mm,
or I don't have the time to do it today. But don't you?
mm.
So it's just the fear.
Right.
It's just
It's the fear of that. Hmm. How do you think we overcome that fear?
overcome the fear, strength and courage.
Hmm?
Persevere, man,
Right.
because you can do it.
Mm,
Anybody can do it. If you see your brother doing it, you see your sister doing it, doesn't that mean you can do it too?
true.
Just
True.
believe.
That's it, right? Believe in yourself. Have that hope and faith in yourself. All right. Let's wrap this up. Right. So I'll ask you three questions. And what are you grateful for? What have you realized? And what is one question you want to ask yourself?
Well, I'm grateful to have a life. I'm grateful for my family, but having to just answer the one, I would say I'm grateful for my family. Lessons I've been taught, there's lessons I've not listened to, or lessons that I've listened to that put me in a path where I didn't know how to get out of. But the fact that I had them there and they were teaching me those lessons, do I accept, or do I let what they're teaching me define me, or do I listen to it and work my ways around it and find myself through the lessons they're trying to teach me? What have I realized? Nothing comes easy. And the more you do things, the more experience you get with it. And with those experience, either you'll impact and influence somebody else, or they'll have a bigger impact on you. The more experience, the more impact you have. The more impact you make. One question I ask myself is, how big do I want to grow? What more can I learn? Who am I, and who do I want to be? Those will be the questions I would ask myself.
Those are good questions to ask, man. And those are really good realizations, and family is something to always be grateful for. Anyway, man, thank you for jumping on this podcast. Really appreciate it, man.
I appreciate having
really good chatting with you, man. And hopefully we can have you on again, and let's see your growth journey, bro. Let's make it happen.
Appreciate you, buddy.
That's it.